Alright, so now we are going to be getting ready to pull the engine out of this 94 Cadillac sedan DeVille. So I got everything ready. What I'm going to start doing is, this radiator is going to have to come out. So I'm thinking I'm going to start here first, and then we'll be able to get to all the accessories on front of the engine. Job, Francis. We'll pull this all one piece. Engine out. Let's look at that. That is loose on the side of the block. This fan, that whole fan in there. We've got the bolts at the bottom. Ready to go down there yet. That's cooling fan. There. Brand new radiator. I think he said he was putting the radiator in, and when the water came out, or antifreeze, it had some water and oil mix, or antifreeze and oil mix. And that's when he said, yeah, blow head gasket. Is brand new, and it appears to be empty. Battery is dead as a donut. So next we need to take off the oil cooler lines. Good thing is, hopefully, the antifreeze is going out of it. This one there's got spider webs in it. So it's definitely empty. Bottom hose. Nightmare hose. Am I going up through? Well, she's dry, so there's no antifreeze in it. So he said that when he was doing the radiator change, that water and antifreeze, water and or antifreeze and oil rather, had came out. So I'm gonna finish getting this radiator out of here, and then we'll move along to the top side. Don't want to bore you guys. So now we got the radiator out the way. We're going to get this belt off, which takes a 1/4-inch ratchet on the tensioner. Belt is dry rotted, split in half. We're definitely going to need a belt. Show you a little bit of that. Man, look at that. That belt is split. It's so dry rotted. Look at that. That is no good. So we'll get a belt for it. That's a accident waiting to happen. Alright, so now the tensioner is off. So this battery is still connected. So I'm going to go ahead and just disconnect this ground cable. Don't have any juice in it, but so now I'm going to take this air cleaner off here. See this nice throttle body. Voila. So we need to undo all of these wires. I can't remember on this car if the wire harness unplugged separately. It's been a while since I did one of these. I think there's a wire harness somewhere over on this backside that you can unplug to leave the engine harness plugged up. Because it's a lot of wires you got right here. I mean, there's tons of stuff that had to be unplugged. Like your throttle body, your air mass flow sensor, whatever that is. There's the radiator hoses, or the transmission return lines. You got two there, and then you got two oil coolant lines over there that come out the radiator. In case I didn't show that. So I guess I'm going to find out if there's a harness that needs to be unplugged off of all these accessories. So we're moving along with the Cadillac engine removal. I didn't realize this thing had so much stuff to unhook. It's going to be hard for me to actually video it, but I'm going to try my best for you guys that's still swapping these old engines out. So we got the heater hose right here unhooked. This kind of goes into a double line. This is the vacuum brake booster hose. This is your fuel injector wire harness. It plugs into here where my hand is. There's like a little vacuum line here that runs across here, and it plugs into this little assortment of hoses right here. So you got this little rubber plastic line to there, and it runs over up under the your map sensor. Here you got a plug for the oil sending unit. That is actually this one, and the oil sending unit, it is broken, so it's plugged in there. This goes to your temperature sensor, which is right here behind your thermostat. got your distributor wire here, and your I guess that's for the RPM gauge or something, tachometer, and plugged into your distributor. This is the cruise control cable, which hooks into your throttle body, and this is your throttle cable that hooks into your throttle body. So basically I'm just taking all this stuff, folding it back out the way, and I'm going to undo these oil cooler lines that comes from your oil cooler that goes up front. And I'm going to take the oil filter off because you can't get to that bell housing behind it. Kind of tight. I know it's going to make a mess, but the radiator's already removed. We got the air box out and the belt's off. So we're moving right along. Like I said, I'm going to try and video a lot of this. It's just so much, it's so tight. A lot of stuff is old and brittle. So I'm just going to try and be careful. We'll continue on. So this is take 3 of the Cadillac engine removal. I got the alternator pulled off. It's just this long bolt right here. It goes straight through this bracket by the tensioner. And they had this old rigged up long bolt with a lug nut on it for some reason. But it was a spacer going through there for the back side of the alternator. Here is a wire harness. Some of these go to your throttle position sensor. That goes to the alternator. This grounds out to the alternator bolt. This is also alternator. This is your map airflow sensor. And that wasn't plugged in nothing. Don't know what that's for. And then you also have back here your cruise control vacuum thing. And then I'm going to have to remove the power steering pump. So what I did was I got one of these little pump things that you can buy to pump out fluids until, you know, your transmission. They use it on transmissions or pumping it into another can or something. But I stuck it down in the power steering pump and I got like an oil bottle. So I'm going to use it to try and drain this power steering pump, because I'm trying not to make a big mess. But like I say, this is just something you can pick up from like O'Reilly's or Harbor Freight. It screws on top of an oil bottle. It will actually screw on top of that bottle. So I'm just going to try and pump all this power steering fluid out, because I'm going to have to take the pump off, because one of the power steering lines runs on the front side of this motor, or actually on the side. Should go all the way down in there. Try and pump out as much as I can. I used to have a little chemical transfer pump, but it wore out a long time ago. I just never got another one. I think it's pretty much empty though. Might be a little bit. Probably can stick a hose on it. Feel it bottoming out though. Very little in there. I know I'm going to make a little mess, but I got it as much as I can. So, anyway, I'm trying to get this pump off and a few more items, and I'll show you guys what's going on. Okay, so everything basically on the engine is free, and a lot of stuff been removed. We got the power steering pump off, completely off. There's the line to it. And this is the pump off the bracket, really off the tank. Here's the tank right here. So I just removed the whole thing with the line still connected because it has these little snap fittings. I don't know if you can see that. It has like a snap hose on it, and I didn't want to break it, so I just folded it to the side. We got all wire harness loose back here. It's tucked away. That's away from the engine. Everything's ran up here. Heater hose is loose. Only thing I got at the front is a starter and a compressor. On this side, we got all the bell housing bolts loose. I just got them kind of finger tight, a couple of them. I do have that one that's like way down there, and the only way you can access it is by taking the wheel off and have a socket that reach all the way to that bolt. All GM transmissions had that one hidden bolt way at the bottom of the bell housing. And it's between the transmission and the engine. But all the rest of the bell housing bolts are free. The oil return lines to the oil cooler is free. Oil filters off. Fuel lines are off, tucked out of the way. So basically everything around the engine is really free. Just now it's time to go to the bottom and start taking that stuff loose, and she'll be ready to come out. So that's going to be it for this part. So we're going to continue on later with the Mac Daddy Caddy. Alright, good people. This is, I think, take 4 this engine removal of the 94 Caddy. So I got everything unhooked. We have the starter unhooked, compressor unhooked. Down here there's a bracket that goes between the transmission and the motor. See if I can get some light down there. If I can find the light. Here it is. Sorry about that. That bracket right there has like 3 or 4 screws. There's one there, and right on the other side of this hose. I don't know if you can see it. Oop, that's my light doing that. There's the other 2 right there. So we got those bolts out. Now that bracket is bolted to the engine. I also removed the ones on the back side of it, which you can't see. But I just went ahead and took those 3 out, and the bracket just come off with the engine. So the compressor has those 2 bolts there. 2 bolts there. There's the compressor hoses that goes on back of it. And actually there's 2 more 10mm bolts on the back side of the compressor that bolts to the block. So I have all the flywheel bolts out, and I have all the bell housing bolts out, and I have a jack supporting the transmission, and I'm using the 4 chain technique, or 2 chains with the 4 hooks technique. So we're going to try and get this thing out here tonight. This thing, I'm going to pressure wash it. It is so greasy. It ain't had oil leaks since 1994. So I'm going to get it out. We're going to get it outside and get it cleaned before we put the engine back in. I think that's basically it. We got a wall full of parts. Compressor, oil lines, starter, power steering pump, radiator. So it's pretty much blown in pieces right now. But as you can see, all the way around the engine is pretty much free. So let me get you guys set up, and then we'll get it on out. Alright, here goes nothing. We're gonna try and snatch this thing on up out of here. So let's keep the game face on. First I'm gonna do is split it from the transmission. Solid. Good old crowbar, never lets it down. Now I have the engine mount loose on the front of the frame and the engine. It comes straight on the back of it. Always check around, make sure you got nothing hanging up. The littlest thing can hang you up and mess your whole night up. Tear up something, break something. Should come straight on up out of there. Take your time. Do it right. Here's our front engine mount. I went ahead and took it loose from the frame and up here, which that mount's busted. See that? That ain't no good anyway. So. Be careful. That water pipe down there, that's what got me hung up. There's a pipe that runs at the front of the engine where your heater hose connects. Should be able to squeeze by it though. I'll show it to you once I get it out. Other than that, we're looking pretty good. Just keeping the check. Tight squeeze, but she's out. Hope you can see that. We're gonna go on up. What they say? Moving on up. Get it over the front end. Make sure we ain't got nothing hanging up back here. Just as I suspected. Kind of center line. Look at that. That's a true grease box right there. This engine has never had anything sealed on it. Just been leaking over time. Alright, now what we're going to do, we're going to screw it on back and get it out the way. So we'll do that right now. And she is out, ladies and gentlemen. She is out. She is out, and she is hanging. She is out. The greasy motor. So I'll show you what was hanging me up. This water pipe here was just rubbing against the frame as I was coming up. You can see where it kind of rubbed right there, but didn't hurt anything. Everything looks good, but just look at the amount of grease that's on this frame. I mean, that is just ridiculous over the years. There's that rear engine mount. I mean transmission mount / engine mount. That other mount bolts in behind it. So right now the transmission is just kind of sitting on the frame and on my jack with a board up under it. But yeah, I'm going to pressure wash this thing because it is just funky. I hate to put an engine back in with this amount of grease up under the hood. I mean, I can barely see the bolts. And down here where the oil cooler lines were leaking, or something was leaking. I think he said he put a radiator in it, so that might be where it came from. Look at this wire harness here. Those wires, that right there has been touching and rubbing something. Look at that. Is that the ground cable? What cable is that? That's actually the hot cable. So this hot cable has been rotted out, and it's been rubbing the engine or the frame. So that needs to be fixed. So just look at the amount of grease on that frame rail. So anyway, I'm gonna get this thing outside. I'm gonna get the transmission. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hook that crossbar back up. It goes from here to over there. The shock towers or strut towers. I'm gonna wrap a strap around the transmission, let it hang. I'm gonna let it down, and I'm gonna push it back outside and spray it down with some oven cleaner. That's right, easy off oven cleaner works better than the greaser. We're gonna spray it down with that, let it sit. And it's kind of like real cold here right now. It's kind of in the 20s. So hopefully my water hose is not frozen up where I can't use my pressure washer. But this thing really needs to be cleaned up. And we'll get it cleaned up. And as for the engine, I'm going to take off what I need. Really, the other engine has everything on it identically. As you can see, this mount right here is bad too, so it's going to need another front mount. I think he got new plug wires for it, so we'll put the new plug wires on. And yeah, that's going to be just about it till we get ready to stick it back in. Looks like someone put a water pump over this one. And it's froze. Look at that. Oh, man. That water pump is froze. So I guess I'll be putting a water pump on it too then. I don't want to use the old one. While it's out, I'll just go ahead and put a new one. Man, that sucks. Listen to that. That don't sound good. Guess we'll swap all that over too. So new water pump. That one is froze up. And we'll get all the cut off hoses and stuff off of it. Dress it up. That one's pretty much clean. This water pump right here turns, but I'm not going to use we're not going to use that. So, anyway, I'm going to get this thing cleaned up. We'll get the engines stripped down and everything, and we'll get back to it once we get ready to put it back in. So just stay tuned. Alright, so this is another segment of the video. So I think this is 5. But I got it outside. We're going to pressure wash and clean all this oil up. I mean, this thing, like I had showed before, it's caked up with oil. I got the good old Easy Off. Well, my straw just fell off. Good old Easy Off oven cleaner. This stuff works good. I mean, you can spray it on stuff and it will take the grease off. If you got any kind of spray paint or something that's chipping off or something, it will take that off as well. I mean, just good old oven cleaner. I'm not the spokesperson for Easy Off, but it do work good. And if you're going to use it, use this kind. I normally get it from like the dollar store. Don't use that cheap brand oven cleaner, because it just smells good and it don't do nothing. So what I did, I just took the cap off of a spray can, and it has the hole for the nozzle, which it just fell off down there. So I'm just going to shake it up. You want to shake it up real good. I'll put the I use the straw for tight spots. Shake it up and just spray it. Now I recommend you use some safety glasses and maybe a respirator mask, because it is strong. I mean, when you're using it in the house, you probably don't use it that much on the oven, but being that you're outside, you can smell it, and you're going to use a big amount. So I normally just spray everything down. Now, as far as aluminum, I haven't had it affect any aluminum. I have sprayed aluminum wheels with it to get off brake dust, where that aluminum cleaner stuff just didn't do it. But I had some older friends of mine tell me about it, and I've been using it ever since. So oven cleaner is the best thing to use for engine degreasing. You can let it sit for a while, and then you can shoot it off with a water hose. It don't eat up hoses or none of that stuff. So I'm just gonna spray it on here. This stuff is so thick, I'm gonna spray it on there and let it sit. I bought several cans, and I probably hit it with the pressure washer one good time and then go back. I know I'm gonna have to do a lot of spraying on this thing. The wire harness is just all gummy and caked up with oil. So now I taped off, well, I put some little rubber caps in the air conditioning line to keep moisture and water and stuff out while I pressure wash it. Plus I'm gonna get the air compressor out here too, and degrease it, and the starter. I just don't want to put it back together like this, just all greasy looking. I mean, the car looks good on the outside, why not look good under the hood? So it's going to soak everything down. It's about 30 something degrees out here today. The sun finally came out, so what a way to go ahead and try and get this done, and it can be drip drying while I put the water pump on the new engine and get it ready to go in. The water won't be dripping all in my face. I'm just gonna spray everything under the hood. Everything's dirty and stuff. So, like I say, oven cleaners, it's a good remedy for engine degreasing. And I'm gonna jack it up and go up on the bottom of the frame. Also, it's just as bad up under the bottom of the car. So I'm gonna go up there and do that too. Get all back and it cracks. It has this fiberglass matting stuff. Guess it was some kind of heat shield or something for the blower motor, but it's rotted. Actually, the drain for the blower motor is missing that hole right there. I might have to put something in there before I start spraying it. Soak it down real good. Should have did the bottom first, but I can get to it though. Most people would have just slapped the engine in and left all the oil and grease like it is. I just don't like to do that. Not with this being so bad. So anyway, I'm gonna get this thing jacked up. We're gonna go up on the bottom and start spraying the bottom with some oven cleaner and let it sit for a while. Then we'll get the pressure washer out and get this thing cleaned up. So I let everything soak. I sprayed about 2 cans on this thing. Let everything soak with this oven cleaner, top and bottom. I even went ahead and took the wheels off so I can get the sides of the frame and the lower and upper control arms and the struts on both sides. It's pretty nasty, pretty nasty. A lot of grass and spider webs, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get started pressure washing and get this thing cleaned up because it's getting cold about a minute. The oil is baked onto it. Backside of the frame. So this area right here is where it's really. I had to change nozzles on my pressure washer. Spray it down some more with some oven cleaner, especially on this frame rail right here, because that stuff is real gummed on there. And then we'll go back and reshoot it. Then it gets some diaphragm off this side. Alright, so this is the aftermath after pressure washing for about, I don't know, maybe an hour or so, give or take. She looks pretty decent. I finally got that frame rail clean. I had to soak it and then scrub it with a wire brush. But I got as much as I could, especially up here where this oil cooler is. So, as best as it's gonna get. Like I say, it's about 30 something degrees. And it's getting colder, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up and get it back in the shop. I got the alternator and power steering pump and starter. I'm gonna pressure wash those too. So anyway, I'm gonna get the wheels back on this thing and get it back in the shop and do something else.